Welcome to a special Tidbit Talkin celebrating 200 subscribers. First of all, thanks for that. Second, here's some ideas about life in general, I guess, which I suppose means spoilers for your existence. Now, with that out of the way, here we go. I like video games and thinking about things, including what people think and how they behave with regards to the video game things, especially on the internet. In particular, I've dwelled a lot upon the various types of dedicated fans there are and how they tend to act. So here's 6 groupings I've decided upon for fanatical folks focused upon the 3 currently active major console manufacturers. These will be in pairs for each company, with one good group and another that's not so much that. Every description will include both how they act and why they seem to be that way. Also, this is going to be in order based on my level of personal experience encountering each category. Anyway, let's really go now. Nintendo can be divided like this. Positive people. The legacy gamers. These are individuals who tend to play every entry in whatever series they happen to enjoy, even going back to find access to ones which were released before they started partaking in the hobby. The likely reason for them is rather simple. Nintendo has lots of franchises that have gone on for a while, and many of them have influenced other long runners from different companies, particularly those who also originate in Japan, like Mega Man, Bomberman, and Castlevania. Oh, plus many of the above crossover in that whole Smash Bros. Thing. Annoyance Army. The self-outcast gamers. Folks who willingly want to be part of a small group or are the only ones enjoying franchises that nobody but them cares about. They also often think there's something special about their money that should make them the sole concern of a multi-billion-dollar company. This segment came about around the time of the GameCube when the nifty little console failed to pick up enough momentum to compete with the PS2, and also kind of lacked a cool physical image on account of having that handle. Their isolationist tendencies are probably the result of bitterness over not being considered a true rival on account of the just mentioned minor aesthetic issue, which was exacerbated by Microsoft trying to market their new system as the other cool one. That stuff helped build a disdain for third parties rather than envy when games started skipping the system they bought. A sorta, who needs them mentality that unfortunately carries to this very day, it seems. This makes them even miss out on some of the aforementioned stuff that was inspired by Nintendo's own works, which made the problem worse for quite a while, which in turn made them more bitter, a rather vicious cycle. There are occasional exceptions though, like Resident Evil, some of them like that out of spite because it was a big property that temporarily became exclusive when others were going away. Although that enjoyment might not actually involve buying or even playing the games for many of them. Oh, and finally, when their favorite company has mainstream success, they act all screechy and weird like vampires being hit with sunlight suddenly getting thrust through just open blinds. Sony PlayStation can be divided like this. Positive people. The experienced gamers. People who like stuff that gives off the vibe of big budget Hollywood hoopla, like The Last of Us and God of War. They mostly emerge because Sony put lots of effort into advertising things that CD storage space let games do efficiently for the first time, like high quality audio tracks and nifty pre-rendered cutscenes and backgrounds, the likes of which were especially pushed via frequently given out demo discs, something that a more expensive cartridge format couldn't really put forth. Annoyance Army. The snobby gamers. Like the previous party, they enjoy stuff with lots of whatnot put into it, but not for the content itself, but instead the feeling they can get by rubbing how fancy it is in others' faces. These are the ones who will go out of their way to spam just the words PlayStation 5 hundreds of times during another company's product showcase that they had to take off work and get up at 4 a.m. just to see. They most likely owe their behavior to that time a Sony executive got on stage with a bar graph during the PS2 days and declared, "The console wars are over!" Especially because many other workers at the company have carried that same energy in today's marketing. Which is likely just a thing because they're terrified if they change how they run things to any degree at all, they won't sell as much, which would make shareholders sad. This astronomically amped advertisement-aided attitude also makes these people think everything that comes out on PlayStation must belong to Sony through sheer force of nature or something. Unless they become more or less rabid if something previously played by them is even only available on something else for just a few months. Microsoft's Xbox can be divided like this. Positive people. The chill gamers. These are pretty much simply those who like video games as something to hang out around. Their entertainment existence is practically just because Xbox had really good online from the get-go and hasn't ever really wavered from that. Especially when it comes to providing their consumer base with good deals, particularly that Game Pass thing, which lets them try lots of stuff they wouldn't have otherwise because they were worried about not being able to afford that wonderful food stuff and what have you. This of course gives most of them more games to discuss, multiplying that let's all just chill aura quite a bit. Annoyance Army. The confused gamers. Folks who think having the most money can make everything go their way and anything not helping them can't truly exist. They seemingly can't grasp that Xbox is just a division of a larger group and thus isn't able to give hundreds of billions of dollars to cover the loss of every game that doesn't get a sequel on their platform because nobody bought the first one on it. For some reason, they'll even occasionally start a petition to get games on another system cancelled that has nothing to do with things on Xbox because an entirely different project announced it wasn't happening over there. They mostly seem to have arisen around the time that Scalebound thing was stated to no longer be in production, which was apparently the most public example of cash not being able to magically fix everything. Oh, and every executive trying to be the best friend of every single person on the internet probably didn't help anything. Anyway, and these 2 celebratory joke videos are a pain, but 200 subscribers are fantastic. See ya!